Sorry, I'm a minute or two late here. I just got a wonderful a call concerning. Hopefully, we'll have an audio book coming. Uh, who knows when? For my life with the spirits, and uh, anyway, I had to take that call. So, what we're going to do this morning uh, is something kind of brief. Actually, I want to share with you the good news that the sun is out for who knows how long. It's still extremely chilly. It dips up below freezing. Um, but anyway, at least I'm not bundled up as much as I was yesterday uh, here, and it certainly improves your mood when you can see the sun every once in a while. Living in Southern California all my life, I realized how spoiled I was with seeing the sun every day. Anyway, I've just finished up earlier in the month a four-part Enochian magic workshop series for my friends in China. So everything had to be translated and everything as I went along, which requires patience from me to because you know how I ramble on, and it's hard to follow me when you're a interpreter. But anyway, uh, I've been on this Enochian trip, and of course uh, every few years at Monday Night Magic class, we went through as part of a class series a 30-week scrying adventure into the 30 aethers, and and viewing them sort of as landmarks or steps, initiatory steps in each magician's uh, personal initiatory journey. And as if we could look at the 30 aethers going from 30 all the way to the top at 1 as being an expansion of consciousness or initiation grades or degrees. So we're looking at the 30 aethers as if it were a 30-degree initiation ceremony. And theoretically, number 1 is Godhead, and number 2 or number 10 is your head. And each step is a progressive waking up type thing. And that's sort of how Crowley viewed it during his adventures that he chronicles in The Vision and the Voice. And but the most logical and the best question a person could ask is why the okay, I've learned all of this Enochian stuff, I've learned the theory and everything else, now what the do I do with it? Which should always be the magician's first. Constance constantly reminds me, well, why are you doing this? Okay. Isn't that right, dear?
I'm not listening.
Oh, she's not listening.
My head's in the freezer.
Her head's in the freezer. Well, get it out.
You'll be shocked.
You're doing that again? Go put it in the clothes dryer for a while.
What do you want?
Nothing. Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
I'm just holding ice cold things because you told me to stop. Okay.
Okay. No,
I'll
I'm
close the door.
all right. So anyway, that's the way Crowley was looking at it. So you may or may not resonate. Oh, and this is from Enochian Vision Magic. So I'm sharing something that I wrote toward the very end of this book. You may or may not resonate with Crowley's view on this subject. Still, it's not unreasonable to compare the 30 aethers with the Sephiroth of the Tree of Life, especially when we understand that both of them refer to levels of personal initiation. This is precisely how Aleister Crowley viewed them. His systematic scrying of the aethers as he walked across the North African Sahara in 1909 are chronicled in his visionary masterwork, The Vision and the Voice, a text I believe should be studied by anyone interested in Enochian etheric vision work. Walking across the North African Sahara in 1909. Does this stuff get any more romantic? I love this shit. Okay, while I certainly am not ready to compare my etheric adventures with those of Crowley, I have on multiple occasions engaged in a systematic exploration of the aethers. I have on a number of occasions scryed each aether, starting with number 30, Tex, and working my way up to number 1, Lil. Even my Monday night magic class is obliged to now and again undergo 30 weeks of scrying the aethers. Am I suggesting that we all actually achieve the sublime levels of consciousness represented by the higher aethers? Of course, I am not. But most of us receive provocative and highly personal visions, especially in the lower aethers. That's because the lower aethers represent levels of consciousness that we visit all the time in the natural course of daily life, in dreams, reveries, ecstasies, even deliriums. Even as I write these words, I'm probably dipping into the lower aethers as my memory and imagination conjure images that help me crystallize ideas I can put into words on the page. I probably spent my entire senior year of high school staring into space and cruising in the lower aethers. As the magician moves upwards through the aethers, he or she progressively breaks into higher and higher levels of consciousness. If we're prepared for this new territory, our visions are characterized by certain spontaneity and lucidity. However, when we begin to get out of our depth, when we haven't yet achieved the level of consciousness necessary to take the next step, our visions become murky and forced, as if we're watching it through a glass darkly. When this happens, the vision is usually characterized by a clear message announcing in no uncertain terms that we have not completely penetrated the aether. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's exactly what we want to happen. Because when we know where we are on the initiatory ladder, because then we know where we are on the initiatory ladder. So now remember in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is the passing of the pylons from one post-mortem levels of consciousness to another, at every step in an initiation, at the Masons, the Elks Club, you're stopped. You knock on a door and then you're stopped. And you have to overcome a little ordeal of some kind, an interrogation, required to take an oath or so. In other words, you just don't jump straight to the boat ride. You're stopped at various gates, like going to the airport. And you have to overcome an ordeal in the same way as passing through the eighth. Well, maybe I'll Maybe I'll get to that as I continue to read DuQuette here. Okay, but that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's exactly what we want to happen, because then we know where we are on the initiatory ladder. Moreover, we have a chance of knowing what it is we need to do. Or more accurately, we will know who we need to become to take the next step in our initiatory career. Allow me to illustrate with a hypothetical example. Let's say you're resolved to systematically scry all 30 aethers, one per night, from 30 to 1 over a 1-month period. Each night, after your scrying session, you dutifully record in your journal the details of your vision. Everything is going along nicely until you attempt to penetrate in vision, let's say the 15th aether, Oxo. You recite the 19th call in the proper manner and call for the 3 governors of Oxo, Tahando, Nokiabi, and Oxo. As the vision begins, 3 angels appear in the mirror or crystal or your mind's eye and march in a circle around you so that you cannot move in any direction. They will not respond to your questions or vouchsafe a proper vision. When something like this happens, you know that your present level of consciousness, your personal initiatory grade, is not refined enough to penetrate, let alone appreciate, the next aether. It's as though you are a radio receiver, not yet equipped to pull in higher broadcast frequencies. In order for you to do this, you'll need to upgrade your equipment by raising your level of consciousness. You'll need to undergo an initiatory experience that will turn you into a more refined visionary traveler. And, as in all initiations, there's an obstacle that needs to be overcome. This obstacle can be anything from a psychological issue to a personal demon or character flaw. In order to conquer it, you might need just a tiny illumination concerning life, or a magical shift of focus, or to successfully achieve more profound meditative states or trances. You won't need to look far to discover what this obstacle is. It should be right there in your magical diary. In the record of the last aether you could successfully penetrate. Somewhere in that vision is a message telling you what it is you must do in order to take the next step in your spiritual journey through the heavens. It is sublimely simple and personal. It makes Enochian etheric magic, in my opinion, a far more effective and user-friendly method of magical self-transformation than guided meditations or Kabbalistic path workings. The method I use is straightforward. After performing a banishing and a ceremony of preparation, that's where I activate the holy table and the lamen and things like that, I simply recite the 19th call using the name of the particular aether I wish to visit. I repeat the names of the 3 governors of the aethers until the vision begins. by the appearance of one or more of the governors, who stand ready to answer my inquiries and demonstrate the nature of the aether. As in elemental workings, I try not to tire myself, and afterwards make a detailed record of my experience in my diary. A complete list of governors is found in Chapter 18, Column 4 of the table designated Figure 63, and in the Appendix 2, Figure 90. So, there it is. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. I hope this has been helpful to those of you who are interested in Enochian magic and the equivalent of Enochian path workings. And if you aren't, I hope you figured out a way to busy yourself.
Close the kitchen door.
Or close the kitchen door, as I'm being reminded. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Bye-bye.